What is going on, everybody? And welcome back to the Winner's Circle. We're back for another live eviction episode. Whoa, I don't know if you saw that. For those of you watching on video, it just had like the snake tongue venom shoot out. And if you didn't see it on the video, then now I'm just embarrassed because I called it out. Anyway, really great way to start the episode here. We had another eviction. Spoiler alert, we're getting right into it. T-Core, very genuine, very sweet T-Core. What a sweetheart. Was very emotionally evicted from the house this week. We're going to dive into it. We're going to recap the whole week, different things that we saw during the week, during these live episodes, different things that I felt were kind of alarming for people's games. There's somebody that I have to dive into their game just because, I've been speaking so highly of them this entire season, and they kind of are letting their emotions get the best of them when it comes to, obviously, you know what I'm talking about, Chelsie and Cam. I don't love what I'm seeing on that front. But before we jump into it, if you haven't done so already, subscribe, turn on those notifications. If you're listening on audio, drop a 5-star review or whatever you feel. Listen, you don't have to just drop it because I asked, but I really appreciate it. All the love and all the support on this channel. Really can't thank you enough. Again, I just want to say how much I appreciate all the comments, all the likes on the videos, everybody interacting with them. This week is an exciting one for me because, at the end of the episode, we found out that a double eviction is coming. And so it's been kind of wild. We got to see a little bit of the HOH competition, which is really exciting stuff. And I'm kind of getting tired of never seeing who wins the HOH because I would love to see that in the live show. But I understand it's kind of taken a new route now, right? Like we don't see the HOH. It just is what it is. That's going to be coming on the episode on Sunday. Quite frankly, I'll just look once the morning comes, or like in an hour when I'm still, going through editing up this podcast and getting everything prepared for tomorrow. I'll just check. So spoiler alert, unfortunately, I won't be able to tell you here, but we will know by tomorrow. All right. So we have a Leah HOH, and quite frankly, she did exactly what I felt should have been done probably last week. But what I will say is it probably wasn't great for Chelsie to have done this. I think Chelsie made a good decision. I think Quinn was somebody that could kind of snake his way through the game, and so I do think it was a good decision for Chelsie last week. Now this week, I think it was an even better situation for her, being that she didn't have to get the blood on her hands, and someone like T-Core going home was something that Chelsie was never going to do. I don't think that's good for Chelsea's game, to be 100% honest, because T-Core would never go after her. They had this, understanding, which to me is just another way of saying we have an alliance, because if you're not going to put each other on the block, then that's an alliance. You can call it whatever you want to call it. Understanding, alliance. It is what it is. And so it's not good for T-Core to go home, but for Leah, for someone like Mackenzie, it is really good for T-Core to go home. Mackenzie, I think this was probably the best outcome for Mackenzie. Because I think when it comes to Mackenzie has Cam, who she's close with. Mackenzie has Leah, who just showed that she's protecting her. I don't think Angela would go after Mackenzie. And Chelsie is crazy tight with Mackenzie. Their relationship has really been growing stronger and stronger as the season has gone on. And a rift between that could have been T-Core. That no longer is there. Now, granted, I do know that Chelsie is loyal to Cam and they have their thing going to the end of the game. But there's just something about that relationship that doesn't make me feel very confident. And I'm going to get into that in a little bit. But I think this week probably worked out best for Mackenzie because Mackenzie wasn't putting anybody on the block. Mackenzie isn't the one getting blood on her hands. I think this is really putting a target on Leah and Angela. I think this is going to allow Mackenzie to, possibly make it through that double eviction, which is dangerous. Like, we are in the danger zone. And once you get through that double eviction, it's just going to be a matter of, can you win competitions when you need to? Because now we're getting to the end of the game. I was just saying it to Christy as we were sitting on the couch. I'm like, I can't believe that there's only 7 people left. Like, this is wild to me. It feels like we blinked and the season was just like flew by. And to be honest, I feel like that's kind of kudos to the type of season it is. It's a very good season. It's a very entertaining season. Like I feel like we got to a point here where I'm like, wow, we're going to go through a double eviction. Somebody's going to go home that's going to put it 6. Double eviction is going to put us to final 5. I'm like, where did the season go? By next week, we're going to be in final 5. Yeah, am I quick counting that correctly? So we have Leah, we have Chelsie, we have Angela, Leah, Chelsie, Angela, Mackenzie, Cam, Chemo, Rubina. Yeah, 7. After the double eviction, somebody's going to go home and the double eviction is send another. We're going to be at final 5. It's wild that this season has kind of flown by, and it's been an entertaining season. We had entertainment early, we had entertainment in the middle, and we're just kind of still going strong. I think this has been a really entertaining season. But again, anyway, back to the game. Mackenzie, I think, is making out really, really well based off of how this week played out, right? So ultimately, we get an HOH with Leah, and people are already getting in her ear about the 3. The 3 needs to get broken up. Now, I do agree. I do agree with this because they are the strongest group. I think Chemo tried to make really good points, and Rubina mentioned this as well, right? They both kind of mentioned that, how strong are we when we're not winning competitions? It's not a matter of that. It's a matter of you 3 are always in a position where if now you're in the game and one of you are on the block, 2 of you are off, 2 of you are on the block, 1 of you are off, the further you get into the game, the more dangerous that is. Because as the numbers start to decrease, if 2 of you are on the block and then 1 of you off the block wins the veto, because now we're at a point where just about everybody's playing in the veto, because with 7 people left, the odds of you not playing are very low. And so, like we saw this week, we're now at a point where 3 votes is all it took to send somebody home this week. Next week, 3 votes is going to be the tiebreaker. After that, if you have that 3 in the house, they don't have to win a lot of competitions. They don't have to be threatening on a competition level. Where they are threatening is you just got to win 1 comp. And the odds of one of them winning as the numbers start to dwindle increase. And now if 1 of them are off the block and 2 of them are on the block, and the 1 off the block wins the veto and uses it on the person on the block, they hold all the power in a vote. And that's dangerous. You can't have that in the house. So although I thought it was a really good play on their part to try to go the route of, okay, we're not winning competition, so how much are we a threat? We can also protect you. It's like, well, who are you protecting? Because there's the 3 of you. Then, Chelsie and T-Core were very close. They had this understanding, so they were going to protect each other. So now there's 4 really. And then the other 2 are probably not going to go against T-Core, who they really love and respect. And that's the other thing about that 3 that's so dangerous, is that they're not just working together. They all respect each other and they all love each other. And so they weren't going to make a decision to cross each other. So whereas we're seeing this kind of throughout this game, right? People are making decisions on their own. Like they're like, I don't care if this is like, we saw it, Chelsie and Cam talk about how they have their final 2. Chelsie talks about it, even though she was kind of wavering a little bit this week. They have voted opposite of each other. Chelsie has shown, like, I know, Cam, you want, Joseph out, but I'm going to vote the other way because I'm going to vote Joseph out over Chemo. And they voted opposite. Like, I couldn't imagine a world where my final 2s that I had, that were my serious final 2s, we voted opposite of each other. Like, Derek and I were never going to be on the opposite side of a vote, even though, there is a joke that one time we were, and that was because I was an idiot during a double eviction. But like Enzo and I, that's the key of being in a final 2, is that you make decisions that are going to benefit the both of you, because both of your game are equally as important. Like, you need each other. You're your closest allies. And so that was really interesting when Chelsie and Cam didn't vote on the same side. We're on the opposite sides of the vote, and it ultimately went against Cam, because now Chemo is still in the house, and I'm pretty sure if Chemo wins HOH, he's probably going to put Cam up. So it's super interesting to see how this plays out, but those 3 weren't going to do something like that. Those 3 were always going to vote the same way. They weren't going to choose to vote separate. They were going to vote the same way. That makes them even more dangerous. And so I can appreciate that they were going for it this week and they were trying to, kind of, move the target off their back. And I really love the point of Mackenzie, Cam, and Chelsie kind of are a trio as well. But realistically, if you're paying attention to it, you'd be like, well, they are a trio, but like they've voted opposite. And, I just don't feel like they're as close as you three are. So it was a good play. It was a really good attempt, but ultimately to no avail because we saw T-Core go home. Now, I want to touch on the whole lovers quarrel between Chelsie and Cam. And quite frankly, it's like, Cam, the writing's on the wall, dude. Like, what are we talking about? The girl's into you. Like, Chelsea's into you. And Chelsie, like I've said this weeks ago when I covered it, it's like, get your emotions out of the game, please. Like, please get your emotions out of the game. There are no dudes left in the house. Cam can only get close to girls. I mean, there is a dude with Chemo, but it's like he wasn't that close with Chemo. Chemo put him on the block. What's he supposed to be buddy with Chemo? So it's like Cam is going to get close to other girls. You were close with T-Core. You were close with the other side of the house. Like, what's he supposed to do? Like, that to me would be alarming on a couple different levels. Be like, Chelsie, what are you talking about? Like, I'm getting flirty with the girls. Why does that bother you? Like, if I can have influence and be looked at as close with the other girls, and you can have influence and be close with the other group on the other side of the house, then we can protect each other on all sides. Like, that's what you want to do with your final two. You do not want your final two to be linked to you in any way, unless you feel confident that if you went up against your final two on the block, that you would send them, that you would stay over them, and then you wouldn't really care. It's like, it was confusing when I saw this conversation with Chelsie and Cam, and it was like, oh, people think you're closer with Mackenzie than you are with me. And it's like, good. It's like, why is that a bad thing, Chelsie, other than you're jealous and it's emotional and you want him to be close to you because you have a crush on him? Like, game-wise, it doesn't make any sense to want to be linked to your final two. So the only other reason to rationalize why you're feeling that way is because you're jealous. And it's like, bury that down. Be jealous if he does something to you outside the house. And quite frankly, I don't even think Cam like sees Chelsie that way. And so it's like, also like, read the room. It's like, if he's flirting with these other girls, like if he was into you, he wouldn't be really doing that. So it's like, you guys are working together. You're a duo. You were doing your thing with T-Core, the other side of the house. He's doing his thing with Leah and Mackenzie. It's like, work both sides of the house. And then maybe if Cam goes on the block, he doesn't sit next to you and he sits next to Mackenzie, and then you can influence the vote to send home Mackenzie. It's like, that's what you want for your final two. You want to never be on the block next to them, and you want them on the block next to somebody else that you can sway the votes to send the opposing person home. So I was just like, I was watching that play out, and I was like, one, like, she like threw a little bit of a fit and was like pulling the bed around, and like, I didn't really fully understand it. It was like Cam was moving his bed to get underneath the awning that they apparently, I was seeing some stuff on the feeds as well, like they weren't allowed to put that up. So he wanted to get protected by the rain. But when I was watching on the live show, I don't know if I have to go and watch it back, it looked like there was like nothing covering the area that he moved his bed to. So it's like, yeah, I guess Chelsea's frustrated because he's trying to snuggle up next to Mackenzie, but it's just like, who cares? If you wanted to be in a showmance with Cam, find a final two elsewhere. Don't like don't find a final two with Cam and then like hope that it's going to be a showmance when he's been showing you all season long that he's kind of flirting, and that's part of his game. It's like, and you're judging him on that. It's like, you're trying to flirt and get in with the girls. It's like, that's the game that Cam's got to play. There's no other dudes in the house. You can't just go hang out with the boys, like, other than Chemo, and Chemo was hanging out with Rubina and T-Core the whole time. So it's like, what are we talking about? What are we talking about here, Chelsie? Please get it together. I want you to win this game. I feel like you're a gamer, but you're kind of making it seem like you're letting your emotions get the best of you. And like, gamers don't do that. You check your emotions at the door. You don't bring them into the game with you. So I'm just kind of like, I had to weigh in on that because Chelsie is somebody that I've been speaking really highly of. And these are things where I'm just like objectively viewing it. And I'm like, why are you doing this? Like, that's not going to help you. Now, be that as it may, Chelsie came around, and I don't think it was good for her to vote out T-Core, but I do think that it was good for her to vote with the House. And so she kind of came to her senses there, obviously knowing that T-Core um, would most likely not be mad at her if the House was voting that way. And even if it was a step further, and probably something that was in Chelsea's head was, I'm not going to fight Cam on this, because if he wants this, I want to make sure I'm staying close with him, because if I'm losing T-Core this week, that's a huge ally of mine that's going. So I got to make sure I keep my relationship with Cam. She should keep her relationship with Mackenzie, and you keep those bonds, because quite frankly, I think Chemo and Rubina will go after a Mackenzie and Cam before they go after Chelsie. So you didn't put T-Core up. You're not a reason why she went home. You're good with Chemo and Rubina. Keep your relationship with Mackenzie and Cam. Make sure that they're going to protect you, because Leah can't compete this week. And quite frankly, I think the only person that would put Chelsie on the block this upcoming week is Angela. And then it's going to be a matter of getting the votes. Like, I'm sorry, you're not getting the votes from Cam and Mackenzie to send her home. So it would have to be Leah, Rubina, and Chemo to send Chelsie. And most likely, you're not putting Leah on the block. So you would have to really like manipulate your nominations to make sure that the people that remain off the block would send her home. So I do think the only person that would put Chelsie on the block is going to be Angela. So we'll see. And to be honest, Angela was kind of killing the HOH competition. She was the one that had the most pieces built up when the episode ended. So I was like, dude, is Angela going to win another HOH? And then ultimately be the easy hands down target to go home on a double eviction? Because first of all, Angela winning that veto was really impressive. One, really annoying. Two, like if I was competing in that veto and Angela won and just kept shouting and shouting and shouting, I don't know if I probably wouldn't have, because obviously I would have had my big brother hat on, so I wouldn't want to cause a scene. But man, it would have taken everything to not be like, can you stop? Like, she was going nuts, dancing around while everybody is still competing, to the point where, like, even as she came over by where Mackenzie and Cam were, Mackenzie was like shushing her. I was like, Angela, enough. Like, stop bringing attention to yourself every time you win. She like goes nuts, dances around, is yelling, doing all this stuff. And like, I get it. It's exciting, but like, it's like, also, it's like you're drawing attention to yourself. You have spoken and vocalized how many HOHs you've won. You're winning vetoes. Now, if she wins another HOH, it's going to be like, nobody's going to want her, because it's really given like terms of, how is she still here? Like, how is Angela still in the house? We had her on the block. People have been using vetoes on her, and now she's somehow just like continuing in this game. Are we going to really let her get to the end? No, because to be honest, Angela's story is a winning story to me, 1,000,000%. So I would be blown away if Angela could get to the final two if she lost. Like, I would be really surprised by that. So do not let her get to the final two. But anyway, I just wanted to touch on that, like veto, the dancing around and doing all that stuff was absolutely wild during the veto. She was just like, I was like, dude, can we just stop? I almost like fast forwarded through it. I was like, enough. I've had enough. I've had enough. So, all in all, another really good week. I think the thought process, I don't know that it was vocalized enough. It was probably noticed on the feeds, but it really wasn't talked about enough on the live show. I feel like T-Core went home because they mentioned it about her going to the end. Like, Mackenzie and Cam talked about it. I don't think they realize how much of a landslide T-Core probably would have won by if she was in the final two. Like, I think T-Core would have probably won unanimously if she was in the final two, which for me would have been the clear-cut reason of, she's on the block. She's never even touched the block. She has herself in this game. Like, people trust her. Like, if T-Core gives somebody advice and tells somebody something they should do, most of the people, they probably would take it. That's somebody that has influence. That's like the social, quote unquote, the social game, right? Like, everybody talks about social game, like just because T-Core was like, guys, that's not the social game. I've talked about this a million times. Having a social game is not being liked. That's not having a social game. That's just being a social person. Having a social game is having influence. How much influence do you have? Like, because that's what your social credit is. My social credit is I am very well liked by these people, but they also will listen to me and hear what I have to say and respect what I have to say and possibly do it, which allows you to have influence. And I do feel like T-Core had that. I do feel like T-Core would have been able to kind of sway, maybe Chelsie to do something, maybe Chemo and Rubina to do something. Like they would have gotten her and she would have been able to vocalize, like, I think you should maybe go this route, which is kind of how we saw, the whole thing form and the numbers. It's like Chelsie last week thought she was going to go after and try to break up the three. And next thing you know, Quinn goes home. So it's just because when there's somebody in the game that you really respect and will listen to, like T-Core, you kind of don't want to do things to cross them. And that's where I think it was easy also for Chelsie to be like, well, Quinn's kind of a rat, so let's just go after him instead of the trio. And it kind of puts me in good standing with them. And I know I'm in good standing with T-Core. So somebody like that in the game, like T-Core, should not be kept in the game if you're aware of how well their influence is. And I think that's kind of what it came to this week, where everybody was just like, T-Core was never even on the block. And like, kudos to Angela, because Angela was one that's like really picking all this up. Like, I'll tell you what, Angela has those annoying moments, but I will tell you what, she is a Big Brother player through and through. Like, she really is playing this game. She really is very aware of all the players, what is going on, where they feel like they fit in the house. Like the fact that she mentioned T-Core hasn't even sniffed the block, I don't think anybody in the house cared about that. I don't think anybody cared about it. But Angela noticed that. And you know what Angela knows? That is something dangerous. If you want to try to win the game, that's not the kind of person that you're going to win the game against. And so she noticed it and mentioned it to Leah. Like that showed me that Angela is strategic. There's strategy, like there's chaos to her, but she understands, like, this could happen and let me vocalize this and let me put some doubt in your head over here. And she did it with Chelsie last week and was like, they formed 5 people outside, even though she didn't hear a thing about it. It's like she knows the elements of the game. And although there's some like craziness to, the decisions that she, or not the decisions, like the speculation that she has, and like there's no truth to it, that noticing that T-Core was never on the block was something like you want to notice stuff like that. Like you want to notice people that are not going near the block. Because that to me is somebody where it's like, yeah, you could view it as like floating through the game, but like I wouldn't really view T-Core as like a quote unquote floater. I mean, she had like elements of her game. Like, don't get me wrong, she's not this like crazy mastermind strategic player, but she understood the game early on, blew up an alliance, carried her this far. I do want to touch on something she said in her interview with Julie, and that was, did she regret the decision to put Tucker on the block? I liked her answer. Because who knows how the game would have played out moving forward. I don't think strategically it was a good play at all. I don't think he should have been on the block because he would have been a shield for her. That's a target in the house that people aren't going after. Quite frankly, he's always going to be linked to Rubina. So that's another person that's kind of going in that group. And don't get me wrong, I know you love Rubina and she's your girl and everything, but like, again, that's not you. As long as it's you and not me, I'm cool with it. That's the rules of Big Brother. We're always good with it as long as it's you and not me. So I like that she didn't have regrets, and I can understand how it's like you just never know how things are going to play out, but it was not a good play. It was not a good play. Week 6, Tucker goes home. A couple weeks later, she's gone. Like, she could have protected Tucker, and then Tucker could have went home the next week. And it's like, those are things that maybe as targets happen and it gets pushed, or maybe Tucker wins another competition and now you're safe for another week. And then he's the target even further down the line. It's like, he was winning too many comps too early. And once the AI arena was gone, he was going to go. Like, he was going to be a backdoor option. It was going to happen. So it's like, you don't want to send allies like that home, but I respect that she didn't have any regrets. So kudos to her. Her goodbye messages were so sweet. You could really tell that nobody had anything to say. Like, yeah, Mackenzie mentioned it was good for my game, but it's like, explain to me why it's good for your game. Like, that's what I want to see in these goodbye messages. Like, why was it good for your game that T-Core went home? Like, that for me, is what is going to start making people hear, oh, this person has strategy in the game. Oh, this person is somebody that I could see voting for as the winner of the game. It's like, why why was me going home good for your game? Explain it to me so that I can rationalize when I go to the jury house. If other people are coming in and they're talking about things that you did, could you be the winner? Like, I didn't love like the blanket statement of just like, it was good for my game for you to go. It's like, tell me why. Tell me why. Give me a reason why to vote for you in the finals. That's what you got to start doing here. We're not doing no buybacks. There's no buyback coming into the game. Start telling people why them going is good for your game so that you can start preparing for your jury management. Get those votes. When you stay in the game and people are going home into the jury, you need to start playing jury management and you need to start preparing for the final two. It happens now. Now, I'm not saying play for the final two because you got to play week by week. But each week that you survive, you need that person going into the jury thinking, who is playing the best game? And the more people that go into the jury thinking that you're playing the best game, that's going to help because they all start talking and then they all have the round table that I'll be hosting this year. No big deal, big brother. I got your back. Will, he was kind of losing his touch, to be honest. No disrespect to Dr. Will. He's an absolute dog, but he lost his touch. He didn't have it. You need some young blood back in there. And that's your boy. Listen, I'm not going to say I know what I'm doing and I know what I'm talking about. You guys get it. You guys get it. And for those of you that were just listening on audio, there was just a wild pause there. So you're going to have to go into the YouTube video to just see, some of the movements there. I don't know. I was doing like a little bit of a dance and not really. I can't even remember what I was doing. Anyway, listen, another great week in the Big Brother house. Double eviction coming up. I cannot wait for next week's episode. It's going to be exciting. We're going to have a lot to talk about. Make sure you are subscribing and turning on those notifications. We will be back with another episode next week. Listen, this has been a very, very enjoyable Big Brother season. If you are here at the end of this episode, which I appreciate you and I loved you, throw the heart in the chat. In the comment. Give me a heart in the comment because I'm giving it to you right here. I love you guys. Thank you so much for always supporting and tuning in here to the Winner Circle. For those of you that make it to the end, I love you and I appreciate you. I will see you next week.